people love to mock, don't they, like the AI image creation a little while back, and now they have to put banners on things because it's so realistic you don't know what's real and what isn't. We started using Notebook LM, the Google Notebook thing, and I gave it one of our ebooks, and it turned the ebook into a podcast. I gave it to my mum, and she was like, this is fantastic, like this is really good, man. Like, do you know these people? I was like, they're not real. And she was like, what? It passed the Turing test at that point, really. And so I think it just is getting better and better and better.
Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder, CEO of RecTools.io, co-founder of RecCircle, and host of this amazing podcast that you are watching or listening to right now, RecTalk. Today's guest, you'll know him from LinkedIn. He's the MD from of SourceFlow. I fucking said so. I know I was going to say SourceFlow.
It's all right. Everyone says.
No,
all right. Everyone says it. I think it's quite funny. Yeah.
Right,
I'm going to run both company. Yeah. Forget about Tim and the guys at Sourcewell. I now run that company. Sorry, boys. Yeah.
He will be the MD of SourceFlow one day.
Soon to be.
Now I've got Matt Comber from SourceFlow. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. And apologies for the little fuck up there, mate. Listen, we're going to talk about AI and sort of what was what is this changing landscape within the tech space right now? Because you guys are very involved on behalf of your clients in terms of supporting them with how to use AI properly within kind of their candidate generation piece, their branding piece, and sort of how to kind of push themselves out there. I have my own views on it. I think there's a lot of businesses out there that are using it maybe badly. And I think there's also a lot of people out there building tech for recruitment and somehow raising millions of pounds, but have kind of lost the point of what this is about, right? And are trying to remove the people out of the recruitment process. So, mate, first of all, thank you for joining me. Appreciate you giving us your time.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yeah, look, it is evolving. I think the interesting thing for me is that we've gone through quite a quick normalization of this. If you think, like, I started talking about this a couple of years back, and it was like, to some people it was like I was like making it up a little bit, like honestly, you'll just be able to go in, you can just ask it to do something and it'll write you a LinkedIn post. What? And then people see it and they're like, actually, it's better than what I could have written. And we've now normalized GPT. Like, my brother works in a factory on like night shifts, and he messaged me today and was like, I've got GPT now. And I was like he'd unlocked something in the game, and like is using it to like create those like Japanese style animated photos and stuff like that, and like he's got like an action figure of himself and all that. It is now in the hands of everybody. It's not just a tech thing, this, and I think that's been the first major step, really, that it's really the genius behind what the LLMs like OpenAI have done, is they made it so accessible to people to be able to use it. I think the interesting thing is, like, a lot of the companies that, like, a lot of businesses anyway, they're like, they've been on this little journey now for a bit of time, so they're like, we understand what it can do, but like, actually, what is it doing for us?
How do I do this effectively, right?
Because there's everyone traditionally has been using it, right? Write me this, like filter this, or like doing it in those kind of like one-to-one type stuff. And if you look at even like chatbots and things like that, it's a very one-to-one type relationship that we've been having with AI.
Well, minuscule use cases each time, right? Like, you can use AI to do this a little bit better, or this one a lot faster, or whatever, right?
Exactly right. Where we're now heading, and where the smart money is going now, is on this like agent or agentic approach to AI. That's kind of like where we've been trying to look at what our part of the world can do in that space, right? And I think where the smart money is going, as I say, is on how that becomes a thing. And I think that's now where it's going to move from, it's kind of like we use GPT to we have an AI assistant that does this specific thing for us, and this thing and this thing.
Explain the concept behind agentic AI, because there will be people listening going, I keep hearing this term and I still haven't quite figured out what AI is yet, let alone what agentic AI is, right?
So the agentic model for me is so chatbot's a really good example of what isn't agentic AI. So that is, I come along, I ask it a question, it gives me an answer, I'm happy with that, and I go away. That's just like generative AI as it is now. the agentic model or the AI system, people have different names for it, is when we're going to string together multiple complex queries or tasks, and the AI or multiple AIs, as it were. So one AI talking to another AI model, talking to another AI
Yeah.
model, and stringing it together will do something. And it's not just AI in as a model, but it might write a Python script in the middle of that for itself to
Hmm.
help accomplish a task. So we're saying I want to get from A to B, but there are lots of steps between A and B. And the AI model will go, okay, or the agent will go, I will go and build all those steps between A and B, and that will help us cross that bridge to get to it from A to B
And how
and link
far do
those
you think
things.
we are from having a system like that within the recruitment industry?
So that's a big question. That's a
Mm.
very, very big question. The way that I see it working is so that, like the guy who runs HubSpot, I think he still does. He's got like agents.ai, I think is his
Hmm.
new website, new product. It's really cool. It's really good. And basically the concept of that is it's lots of small AI agents that all accomplish a bit of our day-to-day job, right?
Hmm.
So you can like get it to. There was a use case I was listening to him say the other day where um, one part of the AI when they wanted to get AI images to basically like be portfolio images for a brand.
Yeah.
So one part of it makes the images, right? So it says it's like a prompt that goes in and says, I want you to go and make images that look like this for this type of brand. Then another one goes and says, I want you to go onto the website of this brand and I want you to find build something that checks the color palette. So
Hmm.
look at all the commonly used colors and then build them into a brand palette pack,
Hmm.
right? So we know we need to take some pictures. We know they got the brand palette pack, and then we got another one that says take the images that we've already created here. I'm going to feed them to you, and then I want you to overlay like filters that make the colors look like that,
Yeah. Bring it
right?
all out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's using, and it was two different AI models, engines that were talking to each other to get that to work.
Yeah, because
That's an
some are better at
agent.
certain things and so on. Yeah, rather than trying to build
Yeah,
one or trying to use one to do everything. Yeah.
exactly. So then, as an agent, the interface for the user is you put your URL in, and it will return you some images. Yeah, URL type of images. Like I want these to be like these type of images, like tick
Hmm.
boxes, and then the agent then does that whole thing, and it brings the whole thing together. And you, as the user, just get an output of some really nicely branded and styled images that look like they should be on your website. That's the agentic model, where it's building different bridges together,
Hmm.
to go
Hmm.
in and kind of pull a task. In recruitment, how that would work or how we bring it together is, I think, there's like AI CRMs now, or there's a lot of conversation around AI CRM. I think what we're actually saying is that the CRM model necessarily in its own right isn't necessarily broken, right? Because there's only
I don't
so
know.
many things you really want it
It's
to
just
do,
it's not
right?
relevant anymore. Well, certainly,
Yeah.
no, it's not relevant moving forward, right? So,
Mm.
my theory on this within the sort of CRM spaces, and I've had this conversation with sort of Wendy from Firefish, and I've had this conversation with some of the bigger players and stuff. And I'll only mention Wendy because I like her, and the rest of them can fuck off.
Me too.
Um, but their version of, well, we've put AI into our CRM is, oh, we can help you make a job spec better. Like, that's sort of real entry
Yeah.
level stuff, and they're claiming that it's an AI led CRM. I've had Jordan from Atlas on the podcast. Recruiter Flow, a big client of mine. They're true AI CRMs. But even then, I think, like from a model perspective, they've effectively used AI to make the old school CRM model be a bit better. For me, where I see this kind of leading is, as a recruitment business owner or as a recruiter, I want to be able to talk to an interface, be it verbally or by text, and say, what jobs am I working on this week? Or go into, here's a job spec that I've just picked up from a client that's just come into my inbox. Match that to the last 10 candidates that I spoke to that look like they would be good for this. Give me the reasons why. Okay, I like these four. Shoot out a message to these four, or bring up the video console. Let me send them a personalized message, and then get
Mm.
that in. Provide them with my diary, and then let them book into calls with me. Do you know what I mean? Almost
Yeah.
like a Siri or like an Alexa or even like a Jarvis type interface where the CRM isn't something that I go into to do my shit. The CRM is just a repository of data that sits in the background, And my interface is this agentic AI model that goes, yeah, cool, we can do that. Do you want to send
Yeah.
Matt Comber an email because we've got, so take this whole setup that we've had. We've jumped on a call. We've had to log into Google Meets, have a quick chat, then set up the Riverside, jump into Riverside. I want to be able to just talk to an interface and say, all right, while we're talking, right, AI, go and set up the Riverside account and or go and set the Riverside studio up. We're going to be jumping into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Close it down, move into Riverside.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it could be then take the recording, take the transcript of that, write the
Yeah.
social media post for it, and it actually does then
That's it.
the
That's it.
after
Take the best
stuff. Yeah.
bits of that clip. Put a trailer together. We've already prompted and given you all the information you need for what a trailer looks like in the RecTalk world. So
Yeah.
use that framework or that sort of template and put together a trailer. Drop it on LinkedIn at 12 o'clock this tomorrow.
That's the true agentic model that you're discussing. That is the where that's going, that side of things. So in the job posting world, that's a really good example of it. That's probably one of the biggest examples I'd probably say. Where right now it's like I can write you a job description. Like we did that like day one of
Yeah,
GPT coming out.
that's
Like we
it.
did that.
That's it.
But in that world, really, what you want the model to do is go right. I have a client. This is all about them. Like go and find all about this customer.
Yeah.
Right. That's give me a job spec. So like before the like job spec even goes in, it's like right. I understand what this company is about.
Yeah.
Okay, they are looking for this type of person, and here is the job description that they might have provided if they have one, or we will write a bit of blurb about what the type of person that they're looking for is just a very brief
Yeah.
overview, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Based on the
Then
conversation or the meeting that I've just had with them. Yeah.
yes,
Here's
based
the
around the
video or here's the
transcript,
notes of that meeting.
yeah, that you've listened to. Here's the transcript. Take that, pull it in, and then you could say, and then what the model would say, right? It'd start to understand this. So you'd only put one thing in at the start. It would do this itself. Then it would go off into your CRM, and it would say, okay, based on this, I'm looking for people with this type of skill set. Maybe pull that back in to write the job ad, right?
Yeah.
So like, what have other people had that have been successfully placed, or maybe other people in that organization have been successfully placed who work there through LinkedIn, or something like that, and then what can I do then to then go and publish that, and where should I promote that job? Like, what are these sources actually based around the type of thing that you're looking for? I think that actually we shouldn't post this on job boards. It should go out to social
LinkedIn,
media, and it should
Facebook,
go to
whatever. Yeah.
LinkedIn or Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would make that decision, and then so your advertising would be like the ad agent bot, whatever you call
Yeah.
it, right? That is that little bit of that world, and that would go and do that kind of capture side of things, like the acquisition side of things for you. And that's the agentic model where it moves away from here's a job description, go and post it manually. That's very generative one-to-one type relationships currently.
That's really interesting. I had this conversation with Dave Jenkins from Wave. Because they got
Yeah,
Wave Tracker, which posts out and that kind of thing.
yeah,
It was like a recruitment curry club, and we were just chatting away about kind of where we think this is going to go, and like they have a really cool kind of approach in that they've got access to this data where they can say to you, Matt, as a recruiter in this space, we recommend that you post this job at this on this day at this sort of time because that leads to the best application ratios, and actually only on these job boards. Don't push it everywhere, push it just here and here. um this is an extension to that, you know what I mean, to be
yeah,
able to then say, okay, we've put together an engaging job advert, and that advert might be a combination of video and text, that might just be text, that might be a static image or carousel or whatever. And then you say, okay, now where do these people hang out, right? Where am I going to put these people,
yeah,
and it can go, actually, based on all the data that we know and that is out there in the public domain, don't put it on Monster, don't put it on CV Library, put it just on Total Jobs, because at the moment they've got the most registered candidates in this space.
yeah,
Let's do that first for the first week or so, and then we can review it after that. In actual fact, there's a couple of Slack channels that we could chuck that into as well. Shall we create a promoted post, and it pings into Slack and says, right, here's the pricing for promoted posts with them. You've got an offer, actually, they're offering you the X amount, a discount on it. Do you want to activate that? Should we do that? Yeah.
yeah.
That's the model that I think that we're heading to and that we should be heading to.
There's a problem with it though, which is this is like this is really really complex. So I'm going to try and break it down. But the problem is that that is exactly what it should do, right? What you've just explained, and that is like Valhalla in this right now. It's like
Yeah.
how do we get all of these different places together and and then make it meaningful for me as a human in front of me.
Yeah.
The problem is that everybody has, like, we integrate with loads of systems, but the problem is that the data sources, how those systems work and collect and send data, is very, very different
Yeah.
between sources. So, like, how LinkedIn behave with data and how Bullhorn or Firefish or SourceFlow or Wave, everyone, we all behave with data in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And the challenge, LinkedIn is probably the biggest one. Like, the challenge is that for it to work the way that you just explained, we need to normalize how that works. So back end
Yeah,
of
you got to
2020,
standardize. It's the same as the open source model, right?
exactly, yeah. So back into 2024, Anthropic, who have now become like massive in this space,
Mm.
they came up with this thing called MCP, Model Context Protocol, and it was like October 24. They released this. I think it only really started like coming out in like December, so it's like
Mm.
very, very new, this concept. But MCP was like genius. What they decided to do with it, they said, we're gonna create like a set of standards for how data can work, and it will exist in what's called an MCP. And the MCP is a little bit like maybe an app store. It's a good way of looking at it.
Yep.
Where it's like it sits in the middle, and then it will take data from LinkedIn, and it'll take data from Bullhorn. But you, more importantly, you will ask it. It will the agent would exist inside of
It's
the
the
MCP
interface. Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. It's an interface for it. So it will standardize a lot of things, and then it will enhance the capability because the agent then has the confidence to go to the MCP and say, oh, I need to do this. What are your connectors? Like, we
Yeah.
connect with these different things and we normalize it here. That's going to be the first time. And then it will return it still inside the CRM, like, probably for you. But where we are right now, if you look at a lot of the CRM space, a lot of acquisitions go on. Obviously, I've been part of one, like, a lot of acquisitions in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Even those acquisitions can't get their data like properly
Yeah, yeah,
done
yeah,
within
yeah, yeah.
their own ecosystem. So the concept of the MCP is genius, really, compared to that, because it's saying, well, everyone should be willing to connect their data
Yeah.
into an MCP to have it in a way where it can be accessible by AI agents. So the way world I'd envisage is somebody comes along to us one day and says, "Oh," or maybe they don't even speak to us.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe they just are living in, they're a Bullhorn customer or whatever it is, and they come along and it's got our MCP interface for websites. And they,
Yeah.
oh, I want a new website. Click. What do you want it to look like? And it will basically, the agent will build that website, fire it up off the back,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will say, oh, you're in tech, so we'll write the content for tech, and it will do all of that type of stuff by having lots of different skills.
Yeah.
The the Google Home Alexa type of thing. I need to say that quietly because it needs to say cancel now because it's going to speak to my whole house. That concept is fascinating, really, because like GPT is so much better than
Yeah.
those like home-based
Yeah.
systems, but GPT cannot turn the lights off in my house,
Yeah.
whereas those systems can. They are really good at doing that one specific thing, but if I have a central control in my business that goes off and does that as like a app store kind of
Mm-hmm.
concept, as I
Mm-hmm.
say, that could go and do that, then I could actually then build that type of interface in. So the MCP model is really, really new in this space. There's only one company that I'm aware of that's even thinking about it right now, and it's a bit under wraps only because I'm slightly involved in it. But like, that concept is, for me, should be the future of where it goes in the
And the
AI
thing is,
space.
though, if you think about how APIs work and how APIs as a concept are now, where they're just widely accepted, right?
Yeah,
Cast our minds back 20 years, there is absolutely no way in the world you would have been able to convince one big tech provider to allow another business to tap into their
yeah,
data. Do you know what I mean? Using a protocol that's standardized, right? It'd have been like, no, 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 no chance, no chance. And I think a lot of the frustrations that I hear from recruitment business owners as to why they won't change CRM providers is the amount it costs to do the data migration.
yeah,
And and I know of some consultancies in that IT space that can do it at like a fraction of the cost now using just large language models, because
yeah,
it takes a bit of work on the front end, but it will standardize that data, and it will look at, okay, so we're going from CRM A to CRM B. CRM A calls first name, but these guys call it name. So I can use the LLM to change that and change that and change that at a fraction of the cost. And so,
yeah,
and we both know that a lot of the kind of the profitability within a CRM model is in that data migration piece. You know, that's why they
Yeah.
want the big established agencies, because there's a lot of data there and they can charge a lot of money to move that. That's a big part of your revenue that you're going to start losing out on, that you rely
Yeah.
on at the minute, right? Um, let's talk
Also,
about.
like,
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say, there is another like real elephant in the room with that one, which is like even the AI CRMs that I've seen, the pricing model is all seat based pricing model,
Yeah,
right? It's like
yeah,
come in, it's 150, 130. That's great when everyone's doing really well. But if you look at the seat-based pricing models over the last like year or two, like the seats have been dropping off through the
yeah,
floor.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. And
everyone's
we'll
still
continue
losing
to do
seat
so
licenses.
as
Yeah,
AI becomes more part of a recruitment business and headcount is no
yeah,
longer the focus. It will
yeah.
continue to
It
be
will
that
cut.
way. Yeah,
Yeah, I the MCP model and the concept of where I think the pricing model should probably go. And I'm not telling CRMs how to price, but like we might have to change our pricing like because of this. But
yeah,
where I look at it is that model will probably work on a per transaction basis. So
yeah,
every time that your AI gets used, it will do something. It will cost you something. But
yeah,
that's so value driven, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's working for me. So the best, like a really good use case for MCP that I see is, you will go in and back to our job posting concept. The
hmm,
MCP would be genius in this, where you'd say, find me a candidate that's suitable for .NET software engineering positions in Manchester, right? That assistant would then access the MCP. It would go, right, give me what I've got from my current system, Bullhorn, right? Give me that, or
yeah,
Firefish, right? Pull that down, okay? And then I want all of the data on the candidates, on people's histories, on skills, the engagement that they've had. Like that's part of that agent that's doing that. Right, go to LinkedIn, enrich the data that I have then from LinkedIn, right? Because it's pulling from that part of the
yeah,
connector. I want technical skills assessment platforms. I might talk to them and say, these are the skills that this person's got. Have you got any record of them? It might do that kind of look up there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then it might do some salary benchmarking. Like, is the salary that we've got for the job in the range of this person that I've just found?
Hmm.
Because it might not even be in your system, because it might have gone to job boards or other
Yeah,
sources
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And then it will come back and say, right, here's Matt. His skills match ABCD. Available immediately, previously interviewed or previously worked at these companies, or maybe interviewed if we know that from our own database. Salary expectations is in line with the industry benchmark that we think. Well, that is like so much value that's created there for the recruiter, to help them do it, and then they're
Yeah,
not having to rely on, I'm going to go and search this database or try and get
yeah, yeah, yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
parsing system. Like
Yeah.
the
And if the
the
pricing model
charges
for
there,
that is a
everyone would make
token,
a little.
yeah,
Well, everyone would make a bit of money, right?
yeah,
Everyone in that chain, LinkedIn would make a little bit of cash, Bullhorn would maybe make a little bit of cash. Everyone would have these microtransactions, and you multiply that up, and it's still a very profitable model, but it is 100% based around value,
yeah.
and I think
That's
that's
what's
the future.
happening outside of the industry right now. People are
Yeah,
moving
it is. Yeah,
to the sort of the tokenistic model, right? I mean, I've seen 13 cents per transaction all the way up to sort of
yeah,
53 cents per like transaction or API call or whatever, or however they're wording it, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I think that's for me. I think that's going to be the most difficult sell in the recruitment space because we're so traditional in how we operate as an industry, and we're so averse to change. We're going to need to see this working elsewhere in our normal day to day lives before we go. Okay, you know, 'cause the subscription model is dead, but you know, if we get to a point where you know, my Netflix subscription is now purely based on what I watch and the amount that I watch, rather than a monthly subscription and that is it. And I get used to that model. That's a lot easier for me to then mindset wise flip into, oh, I should be doing that for my CRM then, because actually there are times where I haven't used my CRM at all, and there's other times where I've sat there and just literally plugged away at it all night long. And you think,
yeah,
okay, and if the pricing model reflected that, surely you'd be a bit more, wow, okay, I haven't got to pay, or LinkedIn have jacked their prices up, and CV Library have jacked their prices up, and now I'm sat here scratching my head thinking, fuck, what do I do?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Some I think if so, like people always talk about, oh, the next CRM. If somebody launched a free CRM where it was pricing based like that, I think they'd clean the entire market up. Like I genuinely think
I
they
think
would.
I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I genuinely believe that the future of CRMs is not a platform or an interface as we know it, but an actual AI interface that we speak to, and it does all
Yeah,
the doing for you. It becomes your co-pilot or your Jarvis is the best example I can think of, where you know
yeah,
I can sit there and I can go, look, I know what my market is and that kind of thing, and it's I know it's listening at all times, and I can go. double click and go, right, Jarvis, look at that conversation that I just had with Matt. He mentioned 3 different things there that I think are really important here. Find candidates for those 3 things that he said he might be recruiting for.
Exactly
And
right.
it goes off and through
Yeah.
all whatever protocols and models that there are, it goes off, does it, and comes back to you with here's people that might be suited. And that's where I think then the skill set of the recruiter comes in, because it's not about, we always talk about sort of a good salesperson, and I don't think recruitment is sales, but a good salesperson uses their kind of listens more, right? You've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, do it in that order, that kind of thing. I think that's what's going to separate the people from kind of who's really good at this to those who are going to struggle, because you could be using tech right now, even right now, to sort of stand out against competition by just
Yeah.
spending more time communicating with your clients and candidates, and then using the tech to kind of do all the legwork for you.
I think there's a crazy thing that happened, which I'm really excited to see, which is like that agents.ai model is sensational because it basically allows you, like, if you came up with a really good agent for recruitment agencies right now, you could go into agents AI, you build it, and then you can monetize that, right, and sell it.
Mm.
Well, it's basically like having a salary, that isn't it? Like a little salary. So you could say this agent is worth £9 a month to you.
Yeah.
That's the salary. Like that is the salary of this agent. There's no minimum wage restrictions on agents. There's no issues around NI and tax increases or any of that kind of stuff, right? They are just as is
Holidays or family pets dying,
tariffs
that kind of
aside.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just exist and they run. They're a little bit of your of a salary of a person, right? And so I think the way that we might think about hiring agents in the
Yeah,
coming
no,
years.
totally agree.
Like,
Totally agree. That's the model
and
that
I think
Dreams
it's going to be
Recovered's
huge.
doing with Meet Dwight,
It
right?
is.
It's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
that model,
very similar.
right? Yeah, we're not going to charge you an upfront cost to set this up. We're not going to charge you, sort of an implementation fee or anything like that. No, no, no. This is no different to onboarding a member of staff. The difference is
Yeah,
this member of staff you can't talk to.
yeah,
You can't
exactly.
ask them what they
But
want.
yet,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's a very good point. That's right.
yeah.
What's your take? I want to get your thoughts on this. What's your take on these AI agents that do the outbound calling, like do you know what I mean? The ones that are designed
Yeah.
to outreach 1,000 people in one go and that kind of thing.
So my view on anything is, does it work? Like
Hmm.
that's literally my view. So like a lot of people are really super opinionated on things, and I'm not. Maybe like certain things, but definitely nothing to do with work. Maybe the world, but maybe work slightly different. I care if it works. So I think back. There's a book that is, in fact, it's there. It's called "Does It Work?" Right?
Right.
It's the book, right? And the book changed the way I looked at a lot of things because there was a really famous now like advertising campaign that the Australian government made. I think it
Hmm.
was called "Dumb Ways to Die" or something like that, and it was like how people kept dying on railway tracks in Australia, kept getting hit in like level crossings and stuff. And basically, what the people watch this and they'll understand it better than I did, but the concept was like they created these like cartoon characters and it had a really good theme tune. So I still remember the theme tune now.
What was it?
And it was like "Dumb Ways to Die." It was like the jingle for it, and
Right.
when you see it, you might be like, "Oh, I remember this." And it went massively viral. Like it went off absolutely everywhere. The issue with it was that it didn't actually cut deaths down. I think the campaigns didn't really do a lot to cut deaths down. Um, I've got somebody at my door. Can we just pause this? But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
my
cool. Yeah.
postman.
While you
Yeah,
do that,
like
I'll tell people about Rec Circle, because I'm not
yeah.
going to. I hate editing this sort of stuff out, right?
Oh,
So
brilliant! Yeah, yeah. This is as
yeah.
raw as it gets, isn't it?
We'll stop here for a second, and I'm going to talk to you about Rec Circle. What is Rec Circle? Why did we build it? And why you should be registered and using it. So, look, effectively, myself and the guys at Nodex, my business partners and friends, Alex and Andy, we looked at it and thought there's a gap in the market here for um, a kind of recruitment specific job board. But what we didn't want to do is just build another generic typical job board. We think that the the job board market is a little bit dated, right? So our concept behind this was, let's give you access as recruitment business owners and a rec to recs. Let's give you access to the candidates that aren't coming back on LinkedIn because they don't want to work with a rec to rec, or they don't want their boss to know, or their boss is still checking their inbox every day, right? And their DMs and so on and so forth. So we created this platform where candidates can go on, create a fully anonymous profile, which just talks about their billing, where they've made that money, what kind of revenue they've made, how they've done that, be it retained contracts, new business, are they a hunter, are they a farmer, a whole range. It builds a nice profile about these people. and then you communicate with them, or they can apply for a job on the traditional job board side of the product. However, the difference is that you've got to communicate with them via messaging, via voice notes, whatever, through our messaging system as an agency trying to coax these candidates in. And only when they're comfortable with you and what you've told them, and the sort of the way you've presented yourself as a business, will they reveal who they are. Go to recircle.co.uk, register your free account if you're a candidate, register your free account if you're an agency, use the job board for free, post a few jobs out there, see it for yourself. We think it's going to change the way job boards operate, but I would say that because I've invested a bit of time and money in it. Right, Matt's back. Who was out the door? An AI agent.
Postman. That's the parcel I've been waiting 3 months for.
Oh, mate.
So that's yeah. When you see it and you're like, yeah, got to pick that one up.
Yeah. Not missing that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not missing that one. Yeah, the campaign was phenomenal. Got massive eyes on it. It was one of the biggest YouTube things at the time, or videos watched. But it didn't work. It didn't really reduce it, right? And so you can have all the virality you want. You can have all that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. The staying alive thing for CPR chest compressions with Vinnie Jones, if you remember that.
Yeah. I know that from
huge
the
impact. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, huge impact on live saved, right? It made a tangible difference. People understand how to use CPR.
Yeah,
things just hit differently. So my view on the AI caller stuff is, I don't really have an opinion on it, but somebody's going to have to give it a go and see if it works, right?
Yeah.
And then see what happens. The quality of the people love to mock, don't they? It's so easy these days to mock things. Like, oh, it doesn't look very good, does it? People were saying that about the AI image creation a little while back, and now they have to put banners on things because it's so realistic. You don't know what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
So the calling stuff will just get better because somebody will want it to get better, because there probably is a really good place for it to do a really good job, right? That's the reality of it. So I'm for it if it works. If it doesn't work and it's rubbish and it doesn't enhance experience and all that kind of stuff, then I'm not for it, right? We should do something else maybe.
Yeah.
But I think it probably will work, right? If it's outbound calling, arranging interviews, or whatever that might be, that could probably be done by an AI agent. That's really good. Some of the stuff I hear now, we started using Notebook LM, the Google Notebook thing, when it came out, and I gave it one of our ebooks, and it turned the ebook into a podcast, two people talking, and I gave it to my mum and said, "Oh, look, this is a podcast that two people have done to talk about," and she was like, she thought I'd made it firstly, but she was like, "This is fantastic. This is really good, man. Do you know these people?" I was like, "They're not real." And she was like, "What?" And it passed the Turing test at that point, really, And so I think it just is getting better and better and better. And so it probably will work. Right. And again, just make data-driven decisions. I don't think I have much of an ethical or moral complaint of it, because I don't I'm not world police, I'm not none of us are, right? If people probably don't like talking to humans, and so what's the difference between them talking to a computer? It doesn't really make that much of a difference, really. So I think if it works, I've got no objections for it, as long as it's done ethically and it's not done for the wrong purposes to con people. Then I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I just say give it a go.
Naturally, right? Anytime there's a leap in technology, the fraudsters are out way before kind of
people die. I've got this really unpopular phrase, which is people have to die to make airplanes safer, and every time we've got
I love that.
It's life, isn't it? Right? It crashes. They line wire crashes. They stop it crashing again like that, right? And every time we've had a technological evolution, and AI is definitely on that scale of the 30 or so we've ever had in the last X amount of thousand years. People have died, or people have got hurt. Every time we did it, we make fire, people get set on fire. People get blown up. We use it for those purposes. We have the Industrial Revolution. People get stuck in machines and die in them. Right. Yeah. Factories aren't safe. Okay, we need to make factories safer. Factories are quite safe now. That is just the evolution that we'll go through with this.
Yeah, it's just part and parcel of the curve. Then you've got to go with it. Yeah, no, that's fair. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I think there's that's a really fair perspective, which is far be it from me to be no, this is wrong, we shouldn't be doing it, because actually there'll be other people looking at other things and saying the same thing. Who's right, who's wrong, who polices that, right? Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, Where I've got a few issues is when we start to really use. Actually, no, I hate it when people use it as like a selling piece to say like why something shouldn't happen because they've got a product that does it the other way. That is something I really have a problem with, where it's like we can cut bias out because all your tools are biased and ours isn't biased.
Yeah.
It's like inherently your tool is biased because like we are, but like the world is biased, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
naturally are biased, and so I think there's just become this like in the last 5 or 10 years or so, maybe people have just got used to thinking of bias as like a really negative thing, and you're like, no, actually, bias is just like what we've always been. Like, I don't think it's never not
Yeah,
been that.
it's the standards of like weaponizing conversation, right? And then using it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. I hate. I say hate. No, I dislike it when people try and use kind of a situation as a way to plug their thing, right? Well,
yeah,
this is the way this person does it, but we don't. We do it this way, and it's like, fine, cool, whatever. But like, I, yeah,
yeah.
there's
What happens
better
if
ways to
people want
plug the
bias?
shit. Yeah,
Yeah, what happens if people want bias? Like, you've got a tool that's not. I mean, inherently, if you try and make a system that is not doing something, it is deliberately doing it.
we
Um,
had this dilemma, right? So again, with the whole rec circle thing, right? We showed it to a handful of investors at the time. We were looking at do we take investment and whatnot, and they were like, "This is really good because actually, like, there's no bias, is there? There's no bias because you're not even you're not even asking what gender these people are or whatever. So like, yeah, there's a real kind of EDI piece that you could go after here, and we mulled it over and we had our little board meeting and we went, no, we can't because the platform could just be full of men, and we don't know that.
yep.
So I can't say that it's an unbiased platform because I don't know who's in there. Like, you know what I mean? It could
Yeah.
just be women that are in there. It could be just Ghanaians that are in there. It could be any number of things. And because we don't know who's in there, we can't sit there and be like totally unbiased, EDI friendly platform. No,
Yeah.
and it's understanding that sometimes and going, yeah, we could use that as a selling point, but actually that's not really true. You know,
Yeah. There's also like walls to break down, which is, you know, every recruiter will have seen this, right? If you go and meet with a customer and they're like, hey, we've got 10 jobs to give you, and you go like come into our offices, they're all tech jobs. You go in and you look in and it's all blokes working in the
yeah,
IT department, and you go, right, okay. Like naturally you're gonna think if I find them a bloke that looks like one of those people, I'm gonna place that person. And that I don't think that makes like you sexist or like some like horrible misogynist by doing that. I don't think that like you're not a bad person for going and doing that. I don't think. It's
see,
just
I
the
don't
reality
know.
of that
I
business
think
is
there's if you're choosing
it's
to
hard, right?
if you're choosing to
If
do
you
that,
choose
you
to,
know what I mean.
if you choose to,
Yeah.
but
But you're right.
but
Yeah,
if I
yeah. If
present
in your
if I
mind
present
you're
20
immediate,
women to that
yeah,
if I present 20 women to that company and they reject all of them, either I don't work with them
yeah,
on moral grounds, or I find a man and place them and make the money
yeah.
from it. And
Whichever
like
you've got to
again,
decide
I'm
what's
not.
more important to you at that time, right? Yeah.
And if I give it an AI system to look at their data, it's probably going to go find me a bunch of guys to go and work there, right? That's probably what's going to go and
It's
do.
gonna it's gonna look at the stats, right? And statistically speaking, this is
Yeah,
their hiring profile. Whether it's right or wrong, that's what they go for. Yeah. And look, yeah, look, I'd have agreed wholeheartedly with you 6 months ago, but I've spent a lot of time recently with people like Joe Major and talking about
yeah, she's
this sort
amazing.
of,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
this sort of stuff, and it's sort of like, I, I do believe that the only way to kind of eliminate this sort of stuff is by going not accepting it anymore and going, well, yeah, while that is the case, it's not the right thing
yeah,
to do, that kind of thing.
yeah. Look, I totally agree. I do totally agree with you. I think we're at a stage where other people, like the end client, might not be agreeing with it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
that's it.
I don't think we've ever not been at that stage, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I think we're maybe at a stage where, and I think the AI isn't gonna like help that. I don't think it's gonna like
Unless
make
you've
that
prompted
system
to,
more
unless you
diverse,
prompt
unless
it
you
to be
really
aware
tell
of
it
this
to.
stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But that's the way we are right now. With the world we're in right now, I have to tell a client,
yeah,
listen, this ain't right that you're asking me just to find a Chinese speaking man, and I've had
yeah,
that before. I've had a client say
yeah, yeah.
exactly that. I don't
I've
want,
spoken to people like
I
that. Yeah, I've
don't
said
want
that before.
anyone
Yeah,
else. I need a Mandarin speaking man because they fit better in this team. And that's up to us as recruiters to say, well, let me challenge that a little bit, right? And in the same
yeah,
way, right now with the world that we're in and the world we're heading into, it's up to us to prompt the AI to say, listen, whilst your initial data set will imply that a Mandarin speaking male is the best choice for this role, I do want to see other profiles and I want to present other profiles to that client. And
yeah.
that
I
I need
agree
you
with
to
that
do that for
totally.
me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I don't think I think that a lot of stuff like strips off that kind of stuff to make it black. I think maybe we lean into it more. I think
Mm.
maybe the answer is to lean in. I've just met with this amazing Mandarin speaking woman. She's absolutely incredible. Probably one of the best candidates I've ever spoken with. You definitely want to speak with her right now.
Mm.
Like, that's the education piece. And they were like, I only want men. And you're like, okay, but your competitor's going to take one of the best candidates
Yeah, that's up to
actually in
you.
the market
Yeah.
right now. Like, my job is to present the best. That's what you've asked for.
But then
And
you
like
peel
this
away
and this
that thing
person.
there, though, don't you? Because again, how many recruiters have got a relationship with their client where the client will say, "Listen, if you're saying they're the best, I believe they're the best," right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know, that spike that people saw in 2021, 2022, the issue was we were providing a very transactional service as agencies,
Yeah.
and we got so used to just scanning the
Very
item
true.
and putting it in the bag,
Yeah.
that now if the cashier says to you, "Hey, actually, this ham's nice, but this ham's much better," you're just going to be like, just put it in the fucking bag, will you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
here for that experience. I don't want your opinion on what's a better ham for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
And
I
that
think we
we've
are getting
created
to the
that for
stage
ourselves.
where,
We were like, I just fucking
yeah,
fill every job, and now we're
shit
sat
at a
there
wall,
going,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, clients
Yeah.
don't believe us, or clients don't trust us. Well, yeah, weird that. Like, you haven't you haven't
Yeah,
built trust
I
with
think
them.
that's what I was saying. I think when like there's a status and then like 30% of the recruiters left the industry in the last year,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
seats. Um, but I wonder, is that like 30% of utter shit left the industry in that year? And it was businesses that looked at it and went, oh shit, we just overhired, and like these are the people that are just
Yeah.
bagpacking, like they're just firing that ham.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
two,
yeah.
yeah, like they're just doing that and commoditizing the service, whereas the cream, which is the 60%, is going to stick around, doing a much better service, doing an education piece, doing the job, pitching,
That's it.
retained, and,
Yeah.
and having that relationship
And this
rather
is
than
this is
just
that's the difference, isn't it? It's the okay, the scan the item, put it in the bag will get replaced by the self-service checkouts, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
not everybody wants to use a self-service checkout. Some people want that personal shopper experience,
yeah,
you know, and it's getting that balance right. And if you treat recruitment, in my opinion anyway, if you treat recruitment as a professional service and a professional service offering rather than just a sales business, then you get to offer retained. You get to offer, a kind of a mini RPO within that business. You get to offer a, hey, why don't you try before you buy, working interview on temps. You get to do all those things.
yeah,
If all you are is a self-service checkout, well, unfortunately, AI is probably going to close you down.
yeah.
It's not that long.
Absolutely. I was talking talking about back to the AI piece. I was talking at an event at the Power Hive up in Manchester,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe just before Christmas, and there was a chap there. His company had been bought. It was, I think, Digital Gurus got bought, didn't it, last year? And that kind of like group,
Mm.
and it's bought by, I think it's Sonic Jobs in the US, or Swipe Jobs, is it, in the
Right. Yeah, yeah,
US?
yeah.
Lady runs that's incredible. She's absolutely amazing. Shout out to her because that business is phenomenal. And they were saying that they're doing like 50,000 placements a week using this AI system that they've built now in the US, and it's like just dominating, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like you come along, you swipe Tinder kind of approach, so you swipe the job, does that piece for you. And I was talking to somebody recently, and I was like, "How's that going?" Because they bought the databases basically for these agencies in the
Yeah, yeah,
UK
yeah.
to try and put it in. It doesn't seem to be as good right now in the UK, and definitely in like the white collar side of things, it's not working as well currently. Anyway, I'm not saying it won't always, but I don't think it's not working as well currently. And you look at it and go, yeah, it's because some of the white collar recruiters, like the transactional element, is not there as much. They
No,
are advising
it's a service.
the
Yeah, yeah,
companies
yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. It's a brilliant thing that it's not working actually
Yeah.
because you don't want it to,
But
but
again,
in
one
the
can argue that
high volume,
the reason it worked for them in the first place in the original market was because they didn't just build this and hit the market straight away with it and say, hey, we've revolutionized
yeah,
recruitment. They had a brand and an image and a level of trust and goodwill that had been built up with
absolutely,
with
yeah,
an audience, right? So I mean, look, if tomorrow somebody started up a job board that was competing with Reed, it wouldn't do well. The reason Reed's job board did so well is because Reed as an agency had
mm,
kind of cornered their market so well that they went, hey, we're going to put a job board out, and it's a completely different part of our business, but the goodwill and the brand from Reed carried over to reed.co.uk, and then they
yeah,
evolved that and so on and so forth, right? In exactly the same way that if tomorrow, Hayes decided to do something similar, or Hayes decided to launch an app that was a transactional service app, well, they've got a back book of clients, candidates, people know them, they've got a brand they can lean on. that's a lot easier of a transition to make. But if
Yeah.
me and you decided tomorrow, let's launch an automation, platform that allows people to just get a job and swipe right, swipe left, and so on, it would fall on its ass because we're not in that space
Mm.
and we haven't got the goodwill.
Yeah.
But that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah. No, I think
Mate,
you're
I
exactly
want to
right.
thank you for this. I think this has been really insightful. How do guys get in touch with you guys? What do you guys got going on at SourceFlow? Here's your chance to sort of plug.
So we're doing loads of ChatGPT wrappers. We're doing all of that.
Charging an arm and a leg for a very basic
Yeah,
service.
yeah. It's all seat-based license. Yeah. Yeah. What have we got going on? So we are launching our first. We've done the ChatGPT wrapper stuff, right? We've
Yeah.
done some of that in the platform. Just quick, helpful, cheap.
It
You can
works.
charge for it.
Yeah.
You know, it just works. The next step for us is the evolution that we've just signing up customers for right now. So our customers have seen it first, or seen it first, which is a project that we've been working alongside Google for the last just under a year now.
Amazing.
Where I didn't want to just jump on a bandwagon and get it wrong. I'm not accusing the people that jumped on bandwagons. I think some of them may have done now. And what I wanted is an actual use case that impacted people.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've been working on is this AI search, AI job search. The job search model. I've been a central part of that for a long time now, over 10 years, and it's been keyword location, and it's variations of how good your keyword and location can find something for somebody is kind of how it's happened. Loads of good things and loads of bad things with that. Good things are we use currently Google's Talent Cloud API. I think that's the best one that exists. The WordPress stuff is pretty bad from my experience. It doesn't do if you typo, quite often it won't return results. It's like that basic. It's very keyword driven.
Yeah.
And I think people have got smarter than keyword driven stuff. So Google Talent Cloud was a good step for us, but it's never really got to the stage where I wanted to go. So what we've done now is we've built our own AI model with that, where we have actual LLM that sits behind it. We have like vector-based AI searching that basically does all of the NLP for the jobs that you have.
Yeah.
So it sits on there, and then it does the same when a candidate comes into the experiences that a candidate comes along. It's all under our agent is called AI Recruiter. That's the wrapper that we've got for it.
Nice.
But the candidate comes in, they can job search, but they can see an option which is send your CV or give us your CV, put your CV in. When that happens, it then takes all of the language and all of the stuff that they've done on that. It has like a weighting algorithm that the customer can edit themselves. Like if you're a language recruiter, you can have languages as a higher percentage on your matches.
Yeah.
And then it looks at all the jobs and it mashes those together and does a percentage-based search match. So the candidate doesn't get like the keywords. It's like you are a 92% match for this job. You're an 84%. And then it uses Gemini 2.0 to basically says why they are a good match back to the user and what they're missing. So if they're like, I haven't put that in. Why didn't I write that? I've got that qualification. It will tell them that type of stuff. So for the job seeker, it's insane because it helps them find that. Recruiters can set thresholds. So it's like only show candidates of 70% plus.
Yeah.
So they're not getting all of those irrelevant job searches that are coming through. The candidates are only seeing the best jobs. One of the big things for this, from a recruiter perspective, is we've cracked a big egg, which is the candidate, when they job search, that CV is made available to the recruiter. So we know now who is searching for jobs, which no one's ever really figured that out before. So the recruiter can now say, oh, I had like these thousands of passive candidates. Actually, a lot of these are like 90% matches, but they never went to apply. They can still phone that person. So they can then passively do that attracting the candidates, which no one's ever done before.
What was it? What was it that stopped you from?
Yeah, what stopped you applying? Yeah, but they know those people. So it's been huge. That's going to go into the job alert side using the AI engine, then to just power job alerts, move away from like the algorithmic approach, which we kind of coined at Volcanic years ago. So moving totally away from that side of things, and then bringing dashboarding in so that people can update their data using AI to do that kind of stuff. And then all of that is the AI agent that we've got to do that. So that's the big release that we've got going on right now. Customers are loving it. So yeah, that's going to be in full rollout. Probably people can buy it now, but the full rollout will probably be like early May. Mid-May, something like that. We'll probably be rolling that out.
Cool. Well, look, I'd love to sort out with someone in the team a demo of that. We'll do it on a LinkedIn and YouTube live. So
I love it.
Can see it as well in action, and then
I love it.
Direct them your way. But mate, I want to thank you for your time, man. Appreciate this. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Absolute pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Man, Thank you. Guys, that's all from us. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the cool things that you guys do to keep us number one. New episodes drop every Wednesday, every Friday, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Trauma. That was good. There we go. Let me just stop there. Cool.